So I'm not gonna lie. I had this video in the vault for a minute because I knew I was gonna have to make it at some point because I didn't think Dallas would make the playoffs, but I also didn't think they wouldn't even make the play in. So here we are. So today, instead of talking about what the problems are for the Dallas Mavericks, we're gonna talk about what I think their next course of action should be. But before that, let's get into a rundown of their season. So their season started off with after going to the conference finals and ending the season on a really high note. You come into this year and the team doesn't look that good, but you still have Luka, who carries his team to a 4 seed, playing historic levels of basketball. I feel like he put up some crazy triple doubles, some crazy point totals that I don't remember. It's crazy how long the season is. The fact that I don't remember that, because I remember what happened, thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna remember this for a while." But yeah, Luka was doing some historic things with the basketball, playing out of his mind, and he carried y'all to the 4th seed. So during the trade deadline, people were the whole season begging for you to get Luka some help. And the Mavericks went out there and said, "You know what? We're going to get Kyrie." They go out there, they trade Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie, and a few picks to get Kyrie. And they get him, and everything has gone downhill since then. Has it been directly connected to getting Kyrie? Some of it, yes. Some of it, no. I don't think it's inherently Kyrie's fault, because it's hard to expect him and Luka to gel and be able to play together when you barely give them enough time to get a rhythm. They didn't even really get an offseason, a training camp to get better together, to understand how each of them want to play and how they would like to play with each other. So I don't think it's all Kyrie's fault. But yeah, that's what happened. They went to the 4th seed at the trade deadline to 11-12, which is kind of insane and happened very fast. So instead of talking about the problems and what it was, because I'm not going to be one of those dudes that blames one thing. It was a little bit of everything. You don't have a fall off like they had with it being one person's problem or a problem in one area. It was a problem all over the place. Like, there's a ton of problems. So let's get into solutions, because I'm a solution-oriented person, if you haven't noticed. So what do I think their course of action should be this offseason? First up is you got to talk to Luka. You got to see where his head is at and if he wants to be there, and what do you have to do to please him. Because let's keep it a buck. You don't trade away a guy like Luka unless you have to. And in all honesty, you even don't trade him even when you have to, because it's rare that you get in a position to have a guy as talented as Luka on your team. That's literally 1 in a million. You can trade him for 10, 20 draft picks, damn near, and you will be lucky to even get a player in the same stratosphere as Luka, because Luka may be one of the most talented people to ever touch a basketball. Let's keep it a buck. Let's be honest. He is. So you don't trade him. You try and make him as happy as possible, and you try to get him to basically agree to your plan or see it your way. And I ain't gonna lie, this whole plan is hinging on them having Luka, because if they don't have Luka, then you don't really have a plan. You just go out there and rebuild. So yes, make Luka happy. And this plan is not to make them championship contenders next year. It is very unlikely that in this offseason you turn your team into a championship winning team, or a team that can realistically contend, because that's just impossible to do. And I don't want to say impossible, but it's really hard. And that's just not realistic. So what you want to do is go into this offseason and add pieces, get better. Because the goal really should be to get better every offseason until you're at the point of, oh, shoot, we can really win this thing. And honestly, when you have a guy like Luka on a competent team, you have a chance, or you always going to feel like you have a chance. So first off, the reason that they've been trying to lose these past 2 games, and they did successfully, is to make sure they obtain their draft pick, which if it falls out of the top 10, it goes to the Knicks. So they want this pick to land in the top 10. Currently, I think they're projected at either 10 or 9 or 11. So I've compiled some players that I really think they should look into if they do end up getting that 10th pick. So I'm going to give y'all a few of them right now. First up is Anthony Black. He's a 6'7" freshman guard out of Arkansas. And I think this is someone you should get because he can play really good defense. 6'7", long and rangy. You need defense next to Luka, because Luka carries such a heavy load on offense where you're going to be asking a lot for him to go out there and play you good defense. I'm just being honest. You're asking too much out of him to go out there and be a really, really good defender. So let's surround him by good defenders. And Anthony Black can be that. He is a guy that's been compared to Lonzo Ball, given he can be a really good ball handler. And he can be your secondary ball handler. And while he doesn't have a good shot, it's something that you can work on. In college, he wasn't surrounded by much shooters, so at times his shot creation didn't look the best because he was surrounded. The lanes were clogged. But putting him in Dallas in a position where they're going to go out there and get shooters, and they have some decent shooters already, he will have some space. And honestly, he's a guy that can fit next to Luka. Like, he will be able to take pressure off of Luka while also being able to defend. But they do need to work on the shot, but hey, you're not going to get the perfect player at the 10th, 9th pick or any of these picks, honestly. Unless you get Vic and you get like maybe the greatest thing that God has ever created to play basketball. Maybe. Next is a forward or a wing out of UCF, and he goes by the name of Taylor Hendricks. He is, I think, a 19, 20-year-old because I think he is a sophomore, but hey, that really doesn't matter. Taylor Hendricks is a forward. He can play your 3, 4, even maybe 5. He can play some defense. He is very versatile. He can guard your 3 and 4s, maybe a small ball 5, but listen, the way the league's trending back to big centers, I don't know. But he can at some point if he puts the weight on. But he's very versatile. But offensively is where you get into the thing that you like. Not saying defense is something that you like, but hey, he can catch and shoot. He can create his own shot with the ball in his hands. He can put the ball on the floor or back you down, or get some buckets with the back to the basket. He's a guy that's been compared to a Jeremy Grant or Jaden McDaniels. If he could play like either one of those players or a mixture of both, that will be really, really good for what the Dallas Mavericks need. I know they have specific needs, but they just need some good basketball players. This roster is not well constructed in a way that can win you a championship. Again, these are not picks that are going to help you win the championship now, but they may help you win later. Who knows? Next, we have Ryan Rupert. This is an overseas guy. 6'7" wing, can play your 2, can play your 3, is a lockdown defender who has shown flashes on offense and could eventually become a complete player. He reminds me a lot of a Mikal Bridges. He can knock down that shot, but he's going to play defense. And, well, let's hopefully say he can transition into right now Mikal Bridges, who is averaging like 27 points with the Nets. But listen, you need defense. And he's going to come out there, he's going to be able to defend. He has shown flashes on offense of being able to be a catch-and-shoot 3-and-D kind of guy, which fits right into what you want to do with the Luka Doncic. You really want to build a team around Luka the same way you would build one around LeBron. 3-and-D, 3-and-D, 3-and-D. And he could fit that role. And that's also another guy who can plug and play. He could play right away, given his skill set kind of matches what Luka needs. Next, we have another guard in Carson Wallace, a guard out of Kentucky. He's like 6'4", 6'5". This is a guy who is a really good defender. He can be a game-changing point of attack defender who can fill in some gaps on offense as a playmaker and a shooter. He can play make, and he can also catch and shoot and play good defense. This is like the perfect little guard you will want besides Luka. This is a guy that can come in there and be that secondary ball handler, secondary option, while also being able to defend and just catch and shoot. He can seamlessly play next to Luka, and his comparisons are Drew Holiday, and DeAnthony Melton. Again, those are two players that you would love to have next to Luka. So if he could play like either one of those, that will be huge for them, especially great value at that 9th, 10th pick. Next, you have the white boy. I had to sneak a white boy in here because the Mavs love them a white boy. And that white boy is Grady Dick. He's a shooter, a sharpshooter. He going to shoot. He's a sharpshooting wing with playmaking ability. This is a guy who can play your 2 or your 3. He's 6'7", and while he can't shoot, he is more than just a specialist. He can put the ball on the ground a little bit. He can play make a little bit, which is something that you hope could be taught and progress in a way where he can do a little more than just shoot. And he doesn't need the ball to be special, which is key for playing next to a guy like Luka, who loves to have the ball in his hands. Now, he gives a lot of effort on defense, but it's not his strong suit. But effort is half the battle on defense, so he can maybe be a good defender since he puts in that effort. He will take a charge. You know, he plays the game the right way, living up to the white boy basketball player stereotype. Love to see it. So yeah, those are the 5 guys that I think they should really target if they get that 9th through 10th pick. If you get that pick and you can get any one of these 5 guys, I will love it. There are also other guys that I could see them taking and would be good for them, but those are players that I could see going higher. Like, of course, Vic, of course, Brandon Miller, of course, a Scoot, but even guys like a Jace Walker, one of the Thompson twins. Those are guys that I see going a lot higher than that 9-10 pick. But if they were able to get them, would be great fits in my opinion. Because, listen, you just need some young talent that can play defense and could potentially hit a shot with Luka. And could potentially maybe be a secondary ball handler. I feel like I said a lot, but not really, because you just need really one of those to be really well. All right, next, let's talk about free agency. There's going to be a lot of difficult decisions for them to make in free agency. The first one is, do you bring Kyrie back? And I think my retort to that question is, does Kyrie want to be back? Because here's the thing. I would love for them to be able to bring Kyrie back because I do think there is a world where Kyrie and Luka can play well together. Kyrie does not need the ball in his hands, and he showed the willingness to not have the ball in his hands. He's played with LeBron. He's played with James Harden. And I think he could play with a Luka, but it all hinges on if he wants to be back because, let's be honest, Kyrie can never seem to be happy wherever he's at, and he can never stay there for too long. And Luka's young, so you want to bring Kyrie in to stay until he really can't play basketball no more, because it makes no sense to pay him all that money just for a few-year rental when that doesn't fit your timeline with Luka. I mean, of course you want to win now with Luka, but again, you have to make the best decisions for his hopefully his whole career with Dallas. Hopefully. But yeah, I would love for them to do it because, like I said, I think he can play with them. But it all hinges on Kyrie and whether he wants to be back. So in that case, I do not know. But who should they target? I don't know. Bad journalism work by me. I don't know specifically who the Dallas Mavericks should target, but I know they should target some shooting, some defense, and some rim protection. Again, this wasn't your only problem this year, but your defense wasn't that good. And again, around a guy like Luka, you need good defense because you can't rely on Luka to play defense because you ask for so much of this man on offense that it's unfair to ask him to also go out there and be a great defender. And I know you have players in this league who are like that, but those are rare. You have a guy in Luka who is going to give your team a top 10 offense, so maybe try and build a top 10 defense around him. And also, when your team was at its best last year, even during the regular season, they had one of the best defenses in the league. I mean, yeah, that's just how it was. So you want to get defense and you want to get shooting because, listen, Luka's going to create something and you need people who are going to be able to knock down those shots. You have two guys in Jalen Hardy and Josh Green who can do that. Those are guys who are definitely there to stay. They're young, talented players who can really be something next to Luka. But you just need more shooting. And you need rim protection. It's just a fact. Easiest way to score is at the rim. So get rim protection. You didn't have rim protection. You haven't had a rim protection there with Luka for a minute. Who was your rim protectors this year? A 37-year-old JaVale McGee? Christian Wood? Maxi Kleber? Like, come on. Those are not players that can protect your rim at a high level. And to win at the level you want to live at, they can't be your rim protectors. Now, do you bring back Christian Wood? I think you do. I think you bring back Christian Wood on a nice deal. Or not a deal where you're paying him too much. Because, let's be honest, one of the main reasons Christian Wood didn't play is he didn't fit with Jason Kidd. Now, on to the Jason Kidd portion of this. Do you fire Jason Kidd? I personally think yes. You have to fire him after this season because at the end of the day, you have to make Luka happy. And I don't know if Luka wants him there. I genuinely don't know. So let's say you do fire him. Who do you go after? I think you go after a name like Ime Udoka, defensive-minded dude who showed with Boston what he can do, how quickly he can flip a switch with a team. And he's not afraid to say what needs to be said. You need someone who's not afraid of Luka. Because, listen, Luka is a dude that when you deal with these child prodigies, they want everything to go their way. And sometimes it's true. They know what's best. But You also need a dude that's going to sit there and say, nah, no. And Ime Udoka is a guy that said that to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown at certain points. Told them, y'all need to be better for us to win. And that's the truth. Luka has to be more conditioned. He has to be more in shape. He has to be more willing to give effort on defense and play off the ball for them to win. And a guy like Ime can say that to him. We also have guys like a Kenny Atkinson who you can go out there and get. But at the end of the day, I don't know if you bring Jason Kidd back. And I don't think you should. I think he's done all he could do. Time's the time. He couldn't get this right. And you have a guy like Luka, you got to be able to get it right with Luka. You do. That's it. That's just how it's got to be. So, yeah. This video was a lot longer than expected. I apologize for that in advance. But hey, this is what it is. This is my plan and what I think the Dallas Mavericks should do next season with Luka Doncic. Thank you for watching. I appreciate the love. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.